Greetings. Today I would like to talk about two topics. One topic is about how to calculate moves in chess, and second about the chess geometry. Both topics are very important because, first let's start from the first one. How beginners calculate moves in chess. For instance, white has a pawn, black has a king, and the white pawn is going to move forward to promote uh, to be promoted to the queen. So white start, then black move, white move, and the beginner think, okay, he moves, I move, he moves. For instance, I move, he moves, I move, he moves, I move, he moves. He got a queen, so I lose. So this way, how the beginners think of chess game calculations, but it is actually not correct. First of all, it's slow, and second of all, it isn't really good idea. Let's move the king to the big white diagonal, and notice that the promotion point is also on the promotion point for the white pawn is also on that diagonal. And let's calculate now. So let's calculate the same way. So the white move, black move, white, black, white, black, white, black. And it turns out that the white will be first anyway. Now, how to make it better for white? So let's, for instance, let the black king move a little bit closer by one step. And now let's calculate. So white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. So white promote, and the king captures the white queen, and it is a draw. So it means that it is possible somehow to calculate the moves in advance. So you can think that actually it is possible to make calculations in advance. And okay, let's again move the king the way that the black king can come closer. Let's perform these moves. And we can see that one step before the promotion to the queen, it's obvious that black king catches the pawn. Now, if we move one step back, so one step back, it's also obvious that black king can catch the pawn. So how to know that? So the trick is here. The king needs to move 2 squares to catch the pawn, but not directly, but by diagonal. By diagonal, it moves two squares, and the pawn needs to move also 2 squares. So you can guess how many squares each needs to move to catch the pawn. When the white move, it needs 2 steps. When the black follows, it also needs 2 steps. So now let's go back, one step back, and the same different numbers, but the idea is the same. So white needs to move 3 steps, and black king needs to move also 3 steps. Now we can go back again. Now we have 4 steps, we have 5 steps. So it means that we can actually make an estimation even from here. So we can calculate number of steps kings requires to move to the promotion point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the pawn has also the same number, 5 points. It means that king will always catch the pawn if the king needs less steps, or needs the same steps or less steps to the promotion point. And you can draw a sort of square. You can draw a sort of square because 5 steps and 5 steps. It turns out because the king moves by diagonal, so you can make a square. So like this, and this. So this square is exactly 6 by 6. 6 by 6. So you can think in advance. So it means that the queen is or king is inside the square. It means that it can catch the pawn. So now if the king outside the square, it cannot catch the pawn. So this is how you actually can decide in advance. Now let's return back. So if you look at this position, this moment king cannot catch the pawn. So if we draw the same square, we notice that the king is outside the square, and therefore when the king tries to catch the pawn, it fails. You see, the queen is promoted, and king cannot catch the pawn. So the idea is, if the king is inside the square, when the pawn starts, so the king can catch it. If the king is outside the pawn square, the king cannot catch it. So now let's make another notice. So is it important how far is the king from the pawn? The king can move straight along the vertical line, along the horizontal line, and also by diagonal. And therefore, so if the distance to the pawn is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the vertical line or in the horizontal line, in the diagonal line, we don't know because there is no distance. So, and the distance to the promotion point is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. So to the pawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and to promotion point is also 6. You can count that way. You can actually make a count by draw a triangle instead of a square. You can draw a triangle in your mind. And here we come to the second observation, that it doesn't matter the king moves by diagonal or straight lines, vertical or horizontal, because the distance is the same. In the real life, if you have distance along the vertical line 1 meter, along the horizontal line 1 meter, the diagonal line would be 1.4 meter. But in chess, those distances are the same. So right now 6 squares are horizontally and 6 squares vertically to the pawn. This feature of chess geometry offers to discovering new insights and new combinations in chess game. Today I will show you two fantastic examples. This is the first example, and what we have is the white king is going to chase the black pawn, and the black pawn is 1, 2, 3 steps away from him. And if the white king start chasing the pawn, of course he cannot do it. On the other hand, we have a white pawn, and it's just 2 steps before the promotion, and however, the black king just nearby, just 2 steps nearby, it means that promotion is not possible. So if the white pawn wants to move forward, the black king will kill. However, we can notice that the engine estimates the situation as a draw because the estimation is 0.0. It means that there is a way that the white king can make a draw. And for that, we need to think about the situation as following. So we are not just the king is not just chasing a pawn. At the same time, he needs to help his pawn. And how it's possible? I give you an idea. So the king needs to chase the pawn and assist to his own white pawn to promote to the queen the same time. So in this case, it needs to move in both directions. It needs to move towards its own pawn and also chase a black pawn in both directions, so vertical and horizontal. And because we know that the chess geometry allows the king to move by diagonal and the distance will be the same, therefore we will move the king along the diagonal. And before we start doing this, we just draw the red square around the white pawn. For that we need a square 5 times 5, because it's just 5 steps to the promotion of the black king. We will not make a square for the white pawn. Is the black pawn, the king needs to occupy any of these blue squares inside the red big square, and even the one on the white diagonal. And at the same time, the king needs to pretend, actually not pretend, the king needs to keep in mind that he can actually help his own pawn to promote to the queen. Let's mark the square, which is the important square, with the red color. So from this square, the king is able to catch the black pawn, and at the same time he will be able to move to the position close to its own pawn to assist the pawn. And if it's close to the pawn, the black king, when the black king comes closer, the pawn will move forward, and the black king cannot prevent that. Because if the black king follows the pawn, the white king also follows the pawn. So it will be an extra step. Instead of chasing the pawn straight forward, the white king will move to the yellow square first, and then he will decide to assist to his own pawn or to continue chasing the black pawn. So before we start moving pieces, let's calculate moves. The white king needs to go to the yellow square inside the big red square, and he requires 1, 2, 3 moves. Plus he needs one move to step on another yellow square outside the red square. It will be 4. In this case, he will assist to its pawn, and the pawn requires also 2 moves, so it will be 6 in total. The black pawn requires only 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, so it means that the black pawn will become a queen earlier, and will have a chance to attack the white king. However, notice that if the black king doesn't move, in this case, the white king doesn't need to get into the red square. It can move like 2 steps, and then doesn't need to get into the square inside the red square. It can go directly to the pawn. It can go directly to the pawn and doesn't need to come close until the black king come close. So it can leave from this yellow square and follow another yellow square. That means that the white king needs to move just 3 steps, and after that the white pawn moves. And if the black king comes closer, then white king also comes closer. So this would be an extra move, or extra 2 moves. So then we count that basically the king and the white king and the pawn requires only 5 steps, and the black pawn requires 4 steps for promotion. So it means that right after the black has a queen, the white also has a queen next step, and it will be a draw. Now let's start moving pieces. So the white king starts, the black pawn moves, white king move, black. Now if the black pawn continue moving, the white king change direction, and it will help its own pawn, and now it stops, so the white pawn moves. And when the black has a queen, white also has a queen, and it will be a draw, like we predicted exactly. Now another situation. So the white king moves, and okay, let's consider the last interesting example today. And we have a situation when the white king is standing in front of the like 3 pawns, and so he is standing in front of them. However, if the king is trying to catch 1 pawn, I don't know, whatever you do. So if the king is trying to catch the pawn, so 1 pawn will go to the queen, and of course he will lose in this case. I made a mistake, of course. Okay, let's start again. So grading. Okay, let's consider the last example. Let's consider the last example. In this example, the white king is standing in front of the group of pawns, and those pawns are connected to each other with a pawn on g2. And those pawns are going to promote to the queen side, but if any pawn is moving forward, I mean, in that case, the king will be able to catch them. And also, the white has another pawn, like in the previous example, and this pawn is 2 steps from the promotion to the queen. However, the black king also exactly 2 steps from the pawn, so promotion is not possible. However, we can think, okay, if in the previous example we managed to achieve the draw, so is it possible to achieve the draw in this example? So black start, and then black needs to achieve the draw. So let's think about this. So if the white king, of course, requires to move toward the pawn g2, otherwise it cannot kill any pawn. So the only suggestion is to do that. The black has options, and one simple option for the black is to kill the white pawn as soon as possible. However, let's further calculate what the white king could do. The white king can take the pawn, and then one of the black pawns should move to the promotion. And at the same time, like in the previous situation, the white king is going to assist its pawn, so it should be a plan to assist its pawn and also to catch the black pawn. And in this case, the white king has a chance to get the draw. Okay, let's calculate. So if 1 kick takes the pawn, he needs to move 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps to its own pawn. So it will be 4 steps. And its own pawn will move 2 steps further. And if black kings move as well, in that case, white king should move as well, so it will be an extra step, so we don't count it. So far it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 steps. 6 steps for white to promote the pawn. Now for black, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So 5 steps, and after black promotes the queen, so next step white promotes the pawn. So it will be a draw. So it works for both pawns, on f6 or h6. So it means that the white king can be brave and take the pawn. So if this pawn f6 moves to f5, the king follow it, but it doesn't need to follow it in a straight vertical line. It can move by diagonal. So it moves, and now it's a chance to attack. So it's important to move here, otherwise he will be one step or more than one step behind the black. And now if black moves here, so the king assists his pawn, and in 2 moves, okay, if black moves, so it will be draw anyway. So in this situation we have a draw. So now let's consider, okay, if the black king doesn't help, so the white just move, queen, and it will be a draw, because black will not be able to checkmate the white king and will not be able to exchange queens. So it can try, now it's bad, but the white king can do better, and there's no draw. Okay, let's consider the last case. So what if the king moves and the pawn starts immediately to promote to the queen? The black or the white king says that doesn't matter. So now the black is too close, it's too far from the king, but the king can change direction, and already it already helps. So if the black king comes here, so white king comes here, then move, and queen, and again the same situation. Notice, however, what if white king, if white king come to the white square, it will be a bad idea for it, because black pawn moves, this pawn move, then it will be queen, and after the check, king moves, black queen will be able to take the queen, white queen, and then black pawn will move to promote to the king. So make sure again, so if you move here, so what about this pawn? Now if this pawn moves, so the white king will be able to eat all pawns. And again, it's important to move here, not to the white side. By the way, not important now. For now it's not important. So it will be a draw. Queen. And if the black decides to interrupt, then white king will move also close and help. So as I said, the only problem is the only question with position of the white king when this pawn moves to the queen. So in this case, the white king takes the pawn, then this pawn moves. The white king shouldn't step on the same diagonal with the future queen. So it shouldn't step to e6 and d7. So the pawn move, this move would be a mistake. No, this still not. But if the king, no, if the king moves here, then the right move here. If the king step here, white will lose, because the black will be able to exchange the pawn, like I said, and check, move, take, and another black pawn move to promote to the queen. Okay, so as you see, it's in this example white king also use tricky geometry of chess, because the diagonal has the same number of steps as a vertical or horizontal direction. Therefore, we managed to solve this interesting question, and you can find even more interesting questions in the real chess games. I hope you like the video. I hope you like this lesson, and I hope you understand the feature. So let's conclude what we learned today. So first of all, we learned how to calculate in chess without moving pieces. So we can calculate without moving pieces, just estimating number of steps using the rule of using the square rule. We also learned the geometry feature of chess, that the diagonal is equal to the moving by diagonal, the king or other pieces move the same number of steps as moving by the horizontal or vertical straight lines. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.